equations. So today I want to revisit the classic high school physics egg drop competition, where you have to build some sort of contraption around an egg to make sure it doesn't crack when it hits the ground. Originally, I do a bunch of research and testing to find the single best way to win the competition every time. But what I found out was that each competition sort of has different rules. In some, you're not allowed to use popcorn or parachutes, and in others, you win if your contraption is the smallest or the lightest or both. So I'm going to show you 5 super easy options, and then we'll talk about why each one works. Let's go crack some eggs. Okay, so let's start with the popcorn ball. The basic principle is that you put your egg in the middle of a box that contains some kind of cushioning material, such as bubble wrap or packing peanuts or popcorn. Personally, I think this one is the most boring, but it works, and that's why every shipping company ever ships this way. I'm using a ball here because it's more weight efficient than a box where you have unnecessary cushioning in the corners, plus the stretchiness of the ball will help absorb some of the energy. The moment of truth, and we have an intact egg. Now before I show you the other 4 ideas, let's talk about the science behind landing with an uncracked egg. So at the start of your drop, your egg is up high and it's stationary, so it has potential energy, which is the energy associated with height. So these red blocks represent the potential energy. And the higher I go, the more blocks of energy I start with. And then as the egg falls, that potential energy is converted to kinetic energy, which is the energy of speed. So you start up high, and every single block is over here as potential energy. But as you start to fall and fall faster and faster, every single block comes over here as kinetic energy, or speed. And now your egg is about to impact the ground and has all this energy in the form of speed that's got.
I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and poreless.
The Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless.
This foundation has 40 different.
This is a mousetrap car. To go somewhere. Now this broom represents the standing energy.
Okay, what are we learning about today? I'll give you a hint. He just talked about it with those blocks. Mariella. Okay, how about instead of pressure, energy? Energy. And we're also learning about graphic artist energy, right? No! No, you should know now that I always say these things. What kind of energy are we learning about? Let me see. I'll get one person virtual and then one person. Ratna, what type of energy are we learning about? I'll give you a hint. One starts with a P. You told me you would not do any IDKs, so don't even think about any IDKs. He's not going to do it. I'll give you a hint. Look at my last post in your chat. He's not going to do it. Yay! Ratna wins! Potential energy, which means you're building up the energy. Like when Mark is on the, whatever it is, the ring, and he takes that thingy thing, and he whips it back. That's potential energy.
That's the potential of energy you have. I don't know any potential.
What is the other,
I know.
what is the other? Owen.
Bro, it's like speed. It's built up when it's been dropped. Or like when he's hitting it, like right before he's about to hit the puck, thingy on the ground, that's the kinetic energy. You think oh, this is one of the weird.
What is that?
That's
Kinetic energy. You guys miss me just throwing myself off a chair.
Sure, you have potential.
Yeah.
Energy. Went on top of it, jumped off. Then you have kinetic.
I'm making potential energy, and now I am.
I really like Mr. Rita walking on.
throw myself off a chair. Okay, we'll go back to the video. I know you can't see me jumping off a chair. Do you actually want to see me jumping off a chair? You just saw it twice.
No.
All right, you come back into school car. I'll show you that nonsense. Okay, let's go.
That holds an eggshell together and makes it hard. So the way to think about this is when your egg hits the ground, if you introduce more energy than the binding energy of the molecules holding the hard eggshell together at any point, you're going to break at that point. So the question then becomes, what can we do to keep our blocks below the broom? Because simply put, below the broom, your egg is safe. Anything above the broom, and your egg is busted. Well, there's two things we can do. The first is that we can make this pile of green blocks not as tall. This is why no matter what your contraption is to protect the egg, if your rules allow it, you should make a parachute. The bigger, the better. And it does not have to be fancy. This is like old school army guy style. Up a trash bag, a little bit of string, a little bit of tape. And just looking at this, you can see the difference a parachute could make. So the second thing you could do is not to remove any green blocks by reducing your speed, but to spread them out. So if we say left to right is our time axis, the more we can stretch out this impact event, the more we can lower that high energy spike. And this is a cool way to think about any two objects impacting. The longer the duration of the impact, the more you can spread out that force so stuff doesn't break. So for example, this is the point of car airbags. Instead of your head hitting the steering wheel and stopping near instantaneously, it stretches out the impact force over time so you don't get a quick spike that exceeds the broom line for your skull. This is exactly why long jumpers prefer to land in sand and not on asphalt, and why parkour runners will always roll after a big jump. It's all about diffusing the force over a longer period of time. So what does that mean for our egg contraptions? It's really just something to keep in mind because it can make it more intuitive, for example, to see why putting your egg in the middle of a jar of peanut butter, which is a popular and not a very good idea, isn't as good as putting your egg in the middle of a popcorn ball. Okay, back to the bridge. So a lot of people like to build contraptions out of straws, and in some competitions, that's all you have to work with. How you configure your straws depends a little bit on how stiff they are. The good folks at Wendy's have fairly stiff straws, which means I didn't have to use quite as many. So my idea was to take 6 3-inch long straws and build a regular triangular pyramid, and then put the egg in the middle. And then I took